ASU because we don't like ASU. We'll move on to our next topic. We'll go back to football, right? We just talked about football for a little bit in the NFL. There were a handful of Arizona Wildcats that have been named to NFL rosters. I'll read you through the list right now. J.J. Taylor making the active roster for the New England Patriots. You have Nick Foles with the Chicago Bears, Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles for the San Francisco 49ers, and, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, last but not least, the one and only Rob Gronkowski, reunited with his partner in crime, Tom Brady, in Tampa Bay. Also want to say that Will Parks and Dane Cruikshank are also on their respective rosters, but they will be opening the season on the IR. So I want to talk about J.J. Taylor first because I really think this is the biggest news out of the bunch. I mean, he went from being an undrafted free agent this season to making the NFL roster with the Patriots, and not without a little bit of drama, of course. He was originally assigned to the practice squad before the injury to Damian Harris gave him that promotion to the active roster. So, I mean, I was honestly pretty surprised to see that he didn't originally make the roster because everything that I had seen from my Twitter feed was saying that J.J. Taylor was performing in camp. He was doing this, he was doing that. So, I mean, Ryan, I want to get your thoughts here. What do you think about J.J. Taylor playing for the Patriots?
I think it's a perfect fit. When, after he played and finished his career at Arizona, the Patriots were a team that came to mind. He fits the Bill Belichick offense. He likes those fast running backs, and he likes to interchange them. And J.J. Taylor has benefited because the Patriots are banged up with Sony Michel being hurt, Damian Harris. They need help there, and I think they're going to have a great backfield with J.J. Taylor, guy who plays similarly to him, James White, and Rex Burkhead. I think he fits it perfectly, and it sounds from all that I'm hearing is that he's going to get some reps early on and be involved in the offense.
Yeah, I mean, I seriously can't think of a better situation for J.J. Taylor to be in. I mean, when just playing with Bill Belichick, I think is just the perfect fit for him, right? Because he's always been very serious during his interviews. He's very mature, very professional. I think he's just the perfect player for Bill Belichick, right? So I think to kind of have Belichick take him under his wing, I think is just going to be awesome to see. And like you just mentioned with the injuries, I think he's going to have a legitimate chance of getting reps, right? Because of Damian Harris and Sony Michel's been banged up, and just the Patriots love to run the running back by committee offense too. So even if he's 3 or 4 down on the pecking order, he could still be rotated in with that kind of offense. So I am really excited to see J.J. Taylor.
Yeah, just making a Bill Belichick football roster, as impressive as it is, that just shows that Bill thinks very highly of him, which is great to hear from a player in Tucson making it on the greatest football organization of all time.
Definitely great to see. How about Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles? He made the active roster for the 49ers, and honestly, this one surprised me a lot. And I think surprised me in a good way, right? Because I really like Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles, but I didn't really expect him to make the active roster because last season he was on their practice squad. He was going from their, he was bouncing back and forth from the practice squad to the active roster. It didn't really feel like he had a spot on the team. Like he didn't really have a role. But I mean, the Niners obviously saw something in him. So I mean, were you surprised at all to see Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles making the roster?
I mean, a little bit, but he is a very talented guy, and from all that I'm hearing is he's going to be involved early. Like they consider him a hybrid safety linebacker, and they can interchange him in that defense, and it's going to be a great experience playing on the defending NFC champions.
I mean, I've always liked him. Like I said, I mean, I've always thought that he was, going to have the chance to play in the NFL. But I mean, I remember I was texting my friend who's a 49ers fan, and I was like hyping him up. I was like, this Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles kid's, he's a stud. You're going to love him, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, I've always been on his hype train. But I think what is really good for him in this system is that it seems like they do have a role for him as that linebacker safety hybrid, kind of like a box safety. I think he fits that skill set really, really well. I mean, he was never really, like one of those fast safeties. And he wasn't like a snail by any means out there, but he wasn't that speedster safety that you typically see. So I think he's going to thrive in that box safety kind of role. And GM John Lynch, he has a little experience playing box safety, so he could be a mentor for him. So I love the fit. I'm glad he made the roster as well.
Yeah, it's exciting news to hear. He's a very talented guy. He just got hurt last year and trying to make a comeback. Hopefully he can make an early impact to this great football team.
Our next guy is Nick Foles, and he's had an interesting series of recent events. He was traded to the Chicago Bears this past offseason. This, of course, came after he signed that gigantic deal with the Jacksonville Jaguars, but that ended up not going very well. He hurt his left clavicle, I believe, in the very first game. It was like one of the very first snaps. Yeah. And then, his season never really panned out after that. I think he only played like 4 games or whatever. So, as if it couldn't get worse for Nick Foles getting traded to the Bears, he now lost the starting QB job to Mitchell Trubisky. And I don't know. I think is that concerning at all to see that Nick Foles, the Super Bowl MVP, didn't beat out Mitchell Trubisky for the starting job?
It's not concerning at all because backup QB is where Nick Foles is at home, and I believe by week 5 to 7, Nick Foles will be the starting quarterback. And Nick Foles, if that team could go on a run, Nick Foles is the guy to watch out, and that Bears team you have to watch out for because Nick Foles is a top 10 to 15 quarterback in the playoffs, and that's the facts. He won the Super Bowl for my Eagles.
Yeah, a little Eagles homerism there, but yeah, I think I do agree with you that Nick Foles is certainly better as a backup, and his role kind of he thrives in that backup role. But I do feel it's a little bit concerning that he didn't beat out Trubisky for the starting job, especially because it took the Bears so long to name Trubisky the starting quarterback. For him to take so long to pick a QB tells me that they're both not doing very well. And that's what I've seen, at least that's what I've read, is that this isn't one of those cases where they're both playing really well and it's hard to choose. From what I was reading, it sounds like that they both weren't playing very well. So I don't know. We'll see what kind of his role is in the offense. I do agree with you. I think we'll see him. What do you think? 5-6 games in, I think we'll see Nick Foles make an appearance.
Yeah, something like that. And also, Coach Matt Nagy is in a difficult situation because he's dealing with the former number 2 overall pick with Mitchell Trubisky just a few years ago, and then the former Super Bowl MVP. So it's like the Bears don't want to admit that they made the wrong choice because passing up guys like Patrick Mahomes and with that number 2 pick. So I think they just want to hold on for at least one more season. But I do think if Nick Foles next year on the Bears could start out with a team being the starting quarterback, I believe he could be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He hasn't got a starting opportunity since he was with the Eagles in 2014. So I just think he needs that opportunity.
Yeah, I think, whatever role he has, I think we'll definitely see a lot of action with him this season. Let's move on to the one and only Rob Gronkowski. What a storyline he is. Reuniting with Tom Brady in Tampa Bay and coming out of retirement. And, Gronk was one of Brady's favorite targets in New England, right? But that may not be the case anymore, right? Because Tampa Bay has a lot of legit offensive weapons. Brian, what do you envision Gronk's role is going to be for the Bucs this season?
From all that I've saw of Gronk so far in the offseason, Gronk looks in the best shape that his coaches, players, everyone has said that he's looked in years. So I still believe that Gronk will be Brady's go-to target this season, let alone having 2 of the top 8 to 10 receivers.
Yeah, I was definitely surprised to hear all the good things that they had to say about Gronk, because I remember when he was first talking about wanting to get back into the league, a lot of people were saying that he was super underweight, he let himself go and he wasn't in shape or whatever. But I heard Bruce Arians say that that Gronk looks in the best shape that he said he looks like what he was 5 or 6 years ago or something like that. So obviously he's going to say that because it's his own player, but I do kind of believe him. But he's right around the same weight that he was when he was in New England. I heard he doesn't have that gigantic elbow brace anymore, so he's out there just running around being athletic. And, who knows? Maybe Gronk is back. A scary or a healthy Gronk is a scary Gronk.
Yeah, coming off a year where he didn't play any football and just had time to sit back and watch, I feel like he could do what he's did in the past. And it's all going to come down to if he's there when they need him most in the playoffs. If they could just keep him maybe in a mainly blocking role with a few catches a game, and then just when they get to the playoffs later in the season, they can unlock him, and that's when he could be the X factor for this Tampa Bay Buccaneers football team.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really think he's washed, just based off of everything that I've heard. Obviously, we haven't seen him play at all because of the limited access to training camp and all that. But I mean, I just from everything that I've heard and just the chemistry that he has with Brady, it's just really hard for me to see him not do well. Unless he gets hurt like he normally does, right? He's pretty injury prone. I mean, if he's healthy, I do think he's going to have a role in this offense.